I'm going to read a fanfic to you by my good friend Leibing. It's called Love, Laughter and Happy Ever After. Lan Huan sat down on the steps leading to the small village church. He nudged himself closer to Jinling, who was sobbing his heart out on the cold stone. "What's wrong?" Lan Huan asked gently, leaning towards the poor boy. I don't want to mess it up," the little boy answered. He squeezed the silk pillow with 2 wedding rings tied to it within his hands. Lan Huan smiled. "Oh, sweetness, you won't mess it up. We went through this, remember? Everything's going to be just fine." The little boy looked up at Lan Huan with red-rimmed, worried eyes. There was a cough behind them, and Lan Huan turned around to catch Miam looking sheepish. "Mama said I had to come and talk to you because I can't remember what I'm supposed to do," she whispered. Lan Huan suppressed a sigh. Why was he offering his professional services as a wedding planner for free again? Oh yes, because the bride was the cherished sister of his brother's new, very charming boyfriend. Apparently, it wasn't just Lan Shan who had a problem saying no to Wei Ying's puppy dog eyes. "Okay," Lan Huan said, standing up and offering a hand to each of the children. "We have some time before the ceremony, so let's go through this one more time." The children beamed up at him as they entered the church, and Lan Huan placed the little flower girl at the start of the aisle. "Now all you have to do is walk down the aisle and throw the petals out of your basket as you take each step," he explained. Miam nodded seriously. He turned to address Jinling. "All you have to do is hold up the pillow when you hear them asking for the rings. Now let's walk together, shall we? But this time we'll just pretend to throw petals. We have to save them for when the bride arrives." Lan Huan walked hand in hand down the aisle with Miam, with Jinling following closely behind. Some of the guests were already seated, and Lan Huan looked around at them as he walked. He recognized some of them as friends and family of the groom. There were others he didn't recognize, which he assumed were family members of the bride or associates of the Shang clan. Wei Ying waved wildly from his seat next to a very stern-looking man who was staring at Lan Huan very intently. "Well, hello, Mr. Dark and Broody." Their eyes met, and Lan Huan felt a spark run through his body. He looked away quickly, but could still feel the man's eyes on him as he walked to the end of the aisle. Who was that? And how could he get an introduction? "Who is that?" Jiang Cheng asked Wei Ying as he nodded in Lan Huan's direction. "Ah, that's Lan Huan. He's Lan Shan's big brother. He's the wedding planner, but he waived his fee for this one because he got winged." Wei Ying did a karate chop motion with his hand. "Already extorting free stuff out of your boyfriend's family, huh?" Jiang Cheng scoffed. "You know it," Wei Ying said with a shameless wink. Jiang Cheng snorted. His eyes ran over Lan Huan's back as he talked to the flower girl. He had to admit Lan Huan's ass looked really good in that well-tailored suit. "You're drooling, man," Wei Ying taunted. "Fuck off," Jiang Cheng growled back. Wei Ying looked shocked. "Dude, House of God, watch your language," he hissed. Jiang Cheng rolled his eyes. He watched Lan Huan take the little girl's hand in his once more, and as they moved around together, Jiang Cheng's eyes swept over Lan Huan's form with careful interest. He found himself hoping a situation would arise where he could become better acquainted with the tall, attractive man. "How do you feel now?" Lan Huan asked his tiny charge. The little girl smiled up at Lan Huan. "I think I can do it." "Excellent," Lan Huan praised. "But I still don't know what to do," Jinling whined. "Okay, you just stand here." Lan Huan positioned the little boy on the right spot, and when the vicar asks for the rings, you simply hold up your little pillow. "Then what happens?" Mian asked, cocking her head to one side. The bride and groom will take the rings and place them on each other's fingers, Lan Huan explained, as he picked up the groom's wedding ring. You need a groom, Miam shouted. Lan Huan laughed. I don't think we need to go that far. Hey, come back! Hey, come back! Miam, Jinling shouted from his position at the altar, but the little girl was already too far away to hear him. She ran off down the aisle, looking around at the possible groom options. Lan Huan watched in horror as the girl locked eyes with the man sitting next to Hui Ying. Oh God. Miam slipped down the row to where Wei Ying and the man were seated. She said something and the man leaned forward to hear her. He looked up and caught Lan Huan's eyes for a moment. Then his focus returned to the little girl. He nodded once and took her hand. Wei Ying grinned manically from the pews. Lan Huan felt his stomach clench a little at this new development. The mini-matchmaker led the man straight back to a stunned-looking Lan Huan. There, she announced triumphantly, "Here is a groom for you." Lan Huan blushed furiously. The man looked intense, but not angry, which was good. "I'm so sorry about this," Lan Huan said. "That's okay. It's my sister's wedding. I want everything to be perfect for her," he replied. Ah, so this was Wei Ying's brother. He remembered Lan Shan mentioning that there were 2 siblings. Lan Huan couldn't get over how nice this man's voice was. It made him feel tingly all over. He tried to pull himself together. He was a professional, for goodness sake. I bet an unpaid one for the moment. Well, maybe we should get to know each other's names before we're joined in holy matrimony, Lan Huan said jokingly, with a laugh he didn't recognize as his own. He winced internally at his awkwardness. "First great impression, you silly idiot." The man offered him a smirk that made Lan Huan's knees weaken under him. "I'm Jiang Cheng," he said, holding out his hand. Lan Huan was surprised he was still willing. Maybe all wasn't lost. Lan Huan replied, reaching forward to take Jiang Cheng's hand. There was that spark again, he thought, as their fingers met. Did Jiang Cheng feel it too? He hoped it wasn't a one-sided attraction. Miam broke their hands apart and looked up at them both angrily. "Not yet," she shouted. Beside them, Jinling watched their interaction as though he were at a tennis match, his eyes whipping back and forth between all participants. Lan Huan pressed his lips together to keep from laughing as he apologized to their little dictator. "We need to start from the beginning," Miam ordered. "You stand here," she told Jiang Cheng, who saluted as he moved into position, making Lan Huan laugh. "And you stand here," Miam told Jinling. The little boy froze in the spot he had been told to inhabit. "And you come with me," Miam said with a grin, holding out a hand to Lan Huan. Lan Huan allowed himself to be led back to the start of the aisle. "Okay, do you remember what you need to do?" he asked. Miam nodded. "Off you go then. But remember, don't throw the petals yet. Just pretend for now." The little girl skipped down the aisle, and Lan Huan followed shortly afterwards, suppressing a giggle at how surreal the whole situation was. Jiang Cheng was looking at him in such a way that he could almost pretend he was a nervous groom at the altar for his beloved. God, he needed to get it together. He was in real danger of swooning in the aisle. When he reached the altar, he gave Miam a double thumbs up. He stood in front of Jiang Cheng, who looked back at him expectantly. Did he have to look so good in that tux? It wasn't fair. Lan Huan imagined he was probably a sweaty mess from running around setting up. Suddenly his mouth went dry, and he forgot what he was going to say. Thankfully, Jiang Cheng decided to take pity on him. So this would be the part when the vicar will say, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join this man and this woman in holy matrimony," Jiang Cheng explained. Lan Huan looked at him gratefully. "Yes," Lan Huan confirmed. "And then the bride and the groom will say their vows." "Say your vows then," prompted Mian. Lan Huan blinked back at her. Well, we can just pretend we already said them, he offered. Miam shook her head. No, I want you to say them right now, the increasingly infuriating little bossy boots ordered. Lan Huan sighed and looked apologetically at Jiang Cheng. Luckily, he seemed to be amused by the whole situation. They had a silent conversation with their eyes, in which they agreed to indulge the little lady. Very well, Lan Huan said. He looked at Jiang Cheng and swallowed hard. He could do this. He had heard a million different variations of the traditional wedding vows. He could just pluck a few from his memory. Piece of cake. He tried to imagine that he wanted to spend a lifetime with the man in front of him. It wasn't too much of a stretch. Jiang Cheng was tempting in his tux, with his swept back, shoulder-length black hair and sharp, intelligent eyes. He probably smelled amazing too. Miam cleared her throat and crossed her arms across her chest, bringing Lan Huan back to reality. He cleared his throat. Ah, yes, vows. Okay. Jiang Cheng, you may call me Ah Cheng if you wish. Lan Huan blinked back at him. Why was that so hot? Oh, yes, because this guy was apparently a walking orgasm for Lan Huan. What was he doing again? Oh, yes, vows. Suddenly, everything he wanted to say was right there on the tip of his tongue, almost as if some unknown entity had placed the words right into his head. My dearest A. Cheng, you are my whole world. I can't imagine living without you. Every event in my life has been made all the better because you were there with me. You are always in my corner, spurring me on. You are my best friend, my soulmate, my unwavering counterpart, and I feel incredibly lucky that I get to spend the rest of my life with you. Where had that come from? The words had sounded so heartfelt coming out of his mouth. Someone clapped in the front row. Lan Huan looked around and saw Wei wiping a fake tear from his eye. Gaga, that was so damn beautiful, he gushed. Lan Huan huffed out a small laugh. Why, thank you, Wei, he said with a bow. Now you go, Mian, the tiny wedding planner told Jiang Cheng. Jiang Cheng nodded and turned to face Lan Huan. Lan Huan, from the first time I met you, well, it's been an adventure. Nothing about our relationship has been conventional, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. Every time I look at you, it's like my eyes are seeing your beauty for the very first time, and I am utterly captivated by you each and every moment of every day. You already own my body and my soul, but today I give you my heart to keep from this day forth. It was already yours, of course, but today we will make it official. Lan Huan's mouth fell slowly open. He didn't know what to say. This guy was a pro. Had he just thought those words up on the spot? Was he a wedding planner too? Did he really think Lan Huan was beautiful? Was he truly captivated by him? Did he understand the laws surrounding verbally binding contracts? Lan Huan had so many questions. His mind started humming. Here comes the bride, and thousands of images of wedding outfits clouded his vision. Geez, Jiang Cheng, will you marry me? Wei called out from the pews, and Lan Huan shook his fanciful thoughts away and returned to the present. Shut up, Wei, Jiang Cheng called back. The children laughed and Lan Huan smiled. And then the vicar will ask for the rings, Lan Huan explained. Jinling thrust out his chest and held the pillow up high. Very good, Lan Huan praised. Lan Huan took the groom's ring, and Jiang Cheng took the bride. They both hesitated. I think we're going to have to see this through. I don't think she will let us off that easily, Jiang Cheng said in a low voice. Lan Huan nodded in agreement. Jiang Cheng took Lan Huan's hand in his. "With this ring, I thee wed," he said, slipping the gold band onto Lan Huan's little finger. Lan Huan's heart hammered in his chest as Jiang Cheng's fingers caressed his skin. Did it suddenly get hotter in the freezing cold, drafty church? Because he felt like his skin was on fire. Lan Huan placed the groom's ring on Jiang Cheng's wedding finger. "With this ring, I thee wed," he said in a shaky voice. Wow. Jiang Cheng had lovely hands and such long artistic fingers. He idly wondered what else Jiang Cheng had that was. "I now pronounce you fake husband and fake husband," Wei Ying called out. "Now kiss him, Cheng." "Yes, kiss," Mian Mian cried. Jinling scrunched up his face. "Yucky, love stuff," he mumbled under his breath. "I don't think we need to kiss," Lan Huan said gently. Oh, that had not been the right choice of words. Mian Mian's face turned thunderous. "If you don't kiss, I'm going to scream." "Me too," Wei Ying interjected unhelpfully. "Wei Ying," Jiang Cheng growled, which was undeniably hot. Lan Huan gave Mian Mian an incredulous look. "You wouldn't dare," he said. The little girl narrowed her eyes. "Try me," she challenged. Jeez, this kid was something else. Lan Huan looked helplessly at Jiang Cheng. "We'd better do it, to prevent a scene," Jiang Cheng muttered. Lan Huan nodded slightly in agreement. As hostage situations went, this wasn't exactly the worst one he could imagine, being forced to kiss a gorgeous guy. Not exactly a torturous task. Jiang Cheng came towards him and put a hand on his waist. Lan Huan pulled in a sharp breath at the gentle contact. He moved forward and pressed his lips to Jiang Chen's. Then everything blurred out of focus, and the sound of his heartbeat overpowered his ears. Lan Huan placed a hand on Jiang Chen's cheek and slid the end of his fingers into his soft hair. Jiang Cheng pulled him closer, angling his head to deepen the kiss. Lan Huan sighed softly against his mouth. He wasn't sure he had ever been kissed like that before. Actually, he was starting to doubt that he had ever even been kissed before. Jiang Chen's body was all lean muscle, and Lan Huan's nipples brushed deliciously against his chest as they kissed, and he groaned. One of Jiang Cheng's hands moved to the center of Lan Huan's back. Those strong fingers made him feel safe and warm. "Well, you two look very cozy." The distant voice dragged Lan Huan out of his daydream, and he pulled away from Jiang Cheng. Jin Sishuen was standing in the aisle looking at them both with an amused expression. "Here comes the gin, let's boil him in the bin," Wei Ying sang to the tune of "Here Comes the Bride." Jin Sishuen rolled his eyes at Wei Ying before turning back to Lan Huan and Jiang Cheng. "Well, this is a turn up for the books. My lovely wife-to-be did tell me that she thought you two would hit it off, but I thought she was mad. Surely Jiang Cheng, the serial grump, and Lan Shan's ultra-polite big brother wouldn't have anything in common, but I stand here thoroughly corrected. You seem to be getting along very well. I never expected to find you kissing at the altar quite so soon, though." Lan Huan knew he had turned the colour of a strawberry. Sorry, we were just having a practice run-through and got a little carried away." He looked at Jiang Chen for support, but Jiang Chen just stood silently staring at him. Lan Huan tried not to squirm under his intense gaze. He pulled off the wedding ring and placed it back onto the little pillow. Jiang Cheng quickly followed suit. Jin Sichuan smiled at them both. No harm done. I better get into position though. Yan Li will be here soon. Lan Huan nodded and turned to Jiang Cheng. You'd better return to your seat, he told him, as more guests started to filter into the church. Jiang Cheng gave him one last look before returning to his place. Lan Huan's shoulders slumped. Was that it? Was I Ching done with him now? Did he have nothing else to say? He had been sure that they were both into that kiss. Had it meant nothing to him? Was it all just a cruel joke, or a stupid bit of fun? Lan Huan felt embarrassed and uneasy, but he had a job to do, and the day wasn't about him. It was about Wei Ying's lovely sister. So he slapped a fake smile onto his face and made sure everything was ready for Yan Li's arrival. The wedding went smoothly, much to Lan Huan's relief. He shed a few tears as he watched the happy couple say their vows from his position at the back of the church. Shang Yang Li made the most beautiful bride, and even though Jin Sichuan was a bit rough around the edges, Lan Huan could see that in his eyes he truly loved Yan Li with all his heart. Lan Huan mused that it was a good match. Yan Li would give him reason to smile, and Xicheng would protect her gentle soul from harm. Lan Huan glanced at Jiang Cheng as the bride and groom walked down the aisle with matching smiles, waving joyfully as their guests clapped and cheered around them. Jiang Cheng didn't seem to notice Lan Huan at all. He felt sad and disappointed. Maybe all the attraction had just been on his side after all. His heart broke a little at the thought. Sheng Yang Li embraced him just before she left the church. She whispered words of thanks and kissed his cheek. Lan Huan held her tightly before she returned to her proud groom. The happy couple were bundled into a shiny limousine waiting outside, and it sped them away to the reception venue. Lan Huan waved them off along with the rest of the crowd. Do you need a ride? Lan Huan jumped as Jiang Cheng's voice met his ear. He could feel his warm breath on his cheek. He was standing right behind him. Lan Huan turned to look at him. Yep, still just as handsome as before. Damn it. I do, actually, he lied. Although he had set up a ride with a friend who lived nearby, he couldn't pass up a chance to spend some alone time with his newest crush. They walked to Jiang Cheng's car together, and Jiang Cheng even opened the door for him. Oh, he was a gentleman too. Great, that was really going to help him to squash his growing infatuation. That was a bit crazy back there, wasn't it? Jiang Cheng said as they set off. Lan Huan nodded in agreement. It was a bit. Mian Mian was awfully bossy. Thank you for playing along. It was my pleasure. There was something in the way that he said the word pleasure that made Lan Huan's stomach tie up in knots. The venue was only a short distance away, and before Lan Huan knew it, they had arrived, unfortunately. Thanks for the ride, he said as he reached for the car door. But before he could get out, Jiang Cheng placed a hand on his arm, halting his movements. Lan Huan, that kiss. Yes, Lan Huan coaxed, looking back at him. That kiss was really something. Lan Huan's heart stopped. Yes, he agreed. It was. Would you allow me to kiss you again sometime? I would very much like to repeat that without the presence of an audience. Lan Huan blinked. Had Jiang Cheng just asked him that? He wanted to kiss again? Lan Huan's heart danced in his chest. Jiang Cheng was waiting for an answer. Lan Huan smiled back at him. Maybe I'll save you a dance, he flirted as he got out of the car. Jiang Cheng smirked to his back as Lan Huan walked away from him. At the reception, Jiang Cheng sat at the top table, and Lan Huan was placed at the table opposite. They didn't get much chance to talk, but Jiang Cheng rarely took his eyes off Lan Huan, much to Lan Huan's utter delight. The bride also quickly noticed this extra attention and looked at them both with an excited sparkle in her eyes. After the bride and groom had cut the 3-tier sugar lotus flower-adorned wedding cake, it was time for Yan Li to throw the bouquet. Lan Huan wasn't even in the drop zone, having decided to actively avoid it, but somehow the bride still managed to send the bouquet soaring in his direction. It hit him square on the cheek. "I get the hint," Lan Huan called out across the room, while the bride dissolved into a fit of giggles. Later, after the happy couple had danced their first dance, the band struck up a rendition of the song "Wonderful Tonight," and Jiang Cheng held Lan Huan to his promise of saving a dance for him. In fact, Lan Huan danced with no one but Jiang Cheng for the remainder of the evening. When the bride and groom had finally left, and all the food had been eaten, and all the toasts were done, Lan Huan and Jiang Cheng walked hand in hand to the hotel room Lan Huan had rented for the evening. After opening the door, Jiang Cheng swiftly pulled Lan Huan into his arms and looked deep into his eyes. They were both drunk on champagne and lust. "So, hubby, how about that second kiss?" Jiang Cheng murmured. Lan Huan bit his lip. "Very well, dear," he breathed back. Jiang Chen's lips met his, and the spark between them was reignited once more. When they eventually parted, they were both flushed and panting. "Wow, and they say marriage kills your sex life," Lan Huan quipped. Jiang Chen laughed as he reached for him again. "Not in our case," he rumbled, pressing soft, teasing kisses to Lan Huan's throat. "I don't think I could ever get tired of kissing you." 12 years later, Jiang Chen was proven right when they returned to that same hotel room on their 10th wedding anniversary. Both of them were a little older and a little wiser, parents to a set of toddler twins, and trying to juggle a hefty mortgage and 2 successful businesses between them. But they were still as in love with each other as they had been all those years ago. Jiang Chen pulled his husband towards him and pushed a curl of hair behind his ear with a gentle smile. "I told you I would never get tired of kissing you," he whispered in Lan Huan's ear, before pressing their lips together with a kiss. Lan Huan pulled away and smiled at him. "I'm eternally grateful that Miem picked you to be my groom. I think it was an act of true destiny. If she hadn't intervened, I would have found some other way to meet you. I was already a goner from the moment I saw you," Jiang Cheng confessed gruffly. Lan Huan melted. "You still know how to make me swoon," he sighed. Jiang Cheng grinned and held Lan Huan tightly. With a flash of desire in his eyes, he leaned in to kiss his husband for the 1,000,000th time, and for the 1,000,000th time, it felt like the first time. Thanks for watching.